Howdy, partners, and welcome to Retro Repair Roundup, where we almost didn't have the show because we were all accidentally in one of the other studio links for a completely different thing, and we were all wondering where we were, and Javier was in this one saying, "Where is everybody?" And we're like, "Where are you?" And then hilarity ensued, and Javier showed up literally 2 seconds before the interview stopped. So
I feel like Travolta.
Yeah, oh, really?
That meme.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking you're like in like Flynn or something like that.
So anyway, welcome to Retro Repair Roundup. Let's do a little simple housekeeping again. We know your Sunday nights are busy and eventful, having anxiety about having to go to work tomorrow. We thank you for spending some time with us. We got a lot of people in the chat saying hi. K-Mac Vintage, Francois, Eric's Edge, Garth Beagle, Cat, hi Cat, Dave's, Mitch Japtek, Gut Bomb, Rudy's here, hi Rudy, 1-Bit Free Redeems, 2K Can Play, Callan, Curtis, Frank, scrolling, another Frank, David Kraft, Ishihama, who has the coolest freaking name ever. Thomas Armstrong, Rich Deckard, and maybe a couple other people who I haven't seen. So thank you, Chris Angelis. Yes. Thank you all for stopping by. Remember, hit the like button, lasso the like button, spur the subscribe button, and all of that stuff. Yeah. Our wonderful friend Trina is either traveling or recuperating from her weekend at the World of Retro Computing convention up near Toronto.
She worked all weekend.
Whatever. Yeah, she twerked because it's Trina's World of Retro Computing.
Or is it? Is it? Oh gosh.
That's what we're calling it because the joke is funny.
Okay.
Or I think it's funny, so that's
fine. I'll make a note. So so I'll know for later.
Ron's gonna be like,
"No, it's okay.
Laugh at Joe's jokes," and he's gonna like just paste it to his monitor. And every time I say something dumb, he's gonna be like, "Ha ha 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 ha." Anyway,
Siri, set a reminder to laugh at Joe's jokes.
And now I will let all of the humor be handled by Ron. Anyway, so let's talk about our super awesome guest, known as OneShortEye. How are you this evening, sir?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Happy to be here. Thank you. If you want to, you can call me Matt for this one because I know OneShortEye is kind of a mouthful. But
Matt,
I was gonna call you Shorty.
Oh no,
that's fine too. That's sort of stuck in the community. It's either Shorty or Matt is perfectly fine.
Matt's good. Matt's good.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're here tonight to talk about some of the cool things that you've been doing with Sierra Games. So why don't you let us know a little bit how you got into all of that magicness?
Sure, yeah. So for a little bit of background on people who might not know me, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about speedrunning adventure games, especially classic adventure games. Also kind of go into the nuts and bolts of how those old games work. I'm a big Sierra fan, also LucasArts fan, but to a lesser extent. So you're wondering just how I got into Sierra games, back in the day, or more the speedrunning now, or where do you want me to start?
Just what first attracted you to the Sierra line of adventure games?
Sure, yeah. So it was really kind of circumstance, with my dad, because back in the late '80s, he brought home one day I still remember this. It was a CompuAd IBM compatible, sort of bottom of the barrel, like just probably the cheapest computer he could find. I've not been able to find very much information about that line of computers ever. But the first game we ever had was Where in the USA Was Carmen Sandiego. But after that, it was all Sierra games, and that's what he brought home. So we had the King's Quest games. We had, what else? Conquest of the Longbow. We had Freddy Farkas.
Mhm.
A ton of others that I'm trying to remember right now. But those were kind of the main ones. And as a kid I was really into stories, and I loved to read. And so adventure games in those days, if you wanted story, right? If you wanted any semblance of character, even if it was paper thin, even if it was just, this is the hero and they need to go do something, right? You had to go to adventure games. Action games weren't like they are now, where even even in kind of the most action-packed games now, you expect a story of some kind, like you expect some character or whatever. You didn't have that, right? And so I love those and got lost in those, and they've kind of been marinating in my brain ever since, and I don't think I could let go of them even if I tried.
Yes. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh no, I love those games too. So I absolutely know where you're coming from. It's I remember back in the day playing a lot of those things, and those were some of the very first games that I kind of picked up. Just especially like with kind of in the early days with the sound and everything. I never played it on a PC Junior, but I certainly played it on a DOS machine or like a Tandy kind of era machine that had the 3-voice sound. So, I mean, it was very neat back in the day. There wasn't anything else like it. But if you had to choose between Space Quest and King's Quest, why did you choose King's Quest?
So that's an interesting one because, again, it really was sort of up to my dad. He brought home more King's Quest games than Space Quest games. That's really what it came down to. And I think it was just, King's Quest was kind of the flagship series. It was, even it's not like Space Quest was unknown or some obscure thing, right? But King's Quest was just, we had all of those. We got all of those. And I don't remember what it was about Space Quest that he just wasn't into, but I do remember that I love this memory. Good book, by the way. You've got Ken Williams' book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we were playing Space Quest 2, and there's a part where we got stuck, right? And there's a part where you have to dive into the water in the swamp. But we didn't know that you could dive. And so I remember that we were stuck. He called up the Sierra hint line, the one we had to pay for. And I hear him punching through things or whatever. And then because I don't hear the other side of the conversation, obviously. And then I just hear, goes over, types in dive, and then that's as far as we got. I think it pissed him off too much.
Yeah.
And I don't think we even finished it. So that was our Space Quest experience. But then later I remember I picked up Space Quest 5 in the bargain in KB Toys. It was a couple of years after it came out. I loved that one. And now that I'm thinking of it, it was also kind of a weird one with that because I don't know who was a Sierra fan at the Science Center, but at the Science Center, the kids go to, they had a computer room set up, and on that they had Space Quest 5, and they had it set up to actually restart the computer every 25 minutes or so.
Oh yeah.
In case you got stuck or got it, so that you, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so I have a fondness for that, and I was huge into Star Trek when I was a kid, and Space Quest 5 obviously is a huge Star Trek parody. So, but to your actual question, that's tough. I have more of a childhood fondness for King's Quest, but Space Quest in some ways is more interesting because you're not playing a hero. But so it's kind of
like an everyman,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like I don't know. They both have their sort of qualities to it. Though I think with Space Quest, if some of the humor isn't like your cup of tea, if it's not hitting, it doesn't work, right? If you're not laughing at a Space Quest game, it's not as much fun as it would be otherwise. So, but then again, King's Quest is kind of, you're royalty and you're doing magic and stuff. Which I love that. So if I had to pick, it would be King's Quest, but for a lot of reasons that aren't very rational.
Yeah.
Well, you're allowed to have a preference. It's especially whatever you've played more.
Yeah.
So,
Space Quest 2: The Search for More Money.
Mhm.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, no, after that, I remember we bought all the hint books when we bought the games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do remember that was a great add-on industry. I don't want to be cynical about it, but there is a lot of moon logic in those games, and a lot of things where, like in Space Quest 1, that you have to know that you're supposed to pick up that little tiny shard of glass after you crash your shuttle pod.
With your eyes, yeah.
Yeah, it's literally a pixel,
Mhm.
or like one little tiny element on the screen that you're just supposed to know is there. So
Yeah, there's tons of stuff like that. Though you know, in fairness, they were pioneers, as were everybody in those days, and so a lot of the stuff that in hindsight seems obvious, you know, it maybe wasn't to them back then. One of the coolest things that I've done, a couple of months ago, I went to the Adventure Game Fan Fair in Tacoma, and they had a bunch of Sierra folks there. And I bring it up because I remember during a panel with Roberta Williams, she was talking. Somebody asked her about designing puzzles, and she said, "Yeah, you know, in preparation for this, because I don't remember my own games from that long ago, I was going back through walkthroughs, and there was this one in King's Quest V where you're wandering through the desert, and if I were designing a game now, I wouldn't do that. That was dumb." So I mean, they know.
Yeah, it's when you're creating a genre from scratch.
Right.
It's like there are no rules yet. There's
Yep.
no idea to understand. There's no handbook. It's, you know, and not everybody can be, to use a weird related but unrelated aside, not everybody can be a savant like Susan Kerr and just know how people are going to use a computer, right? It's you figure it out by trying and failing. So
Yeah, she made the rules basically. Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like our customers don't know what they want until we tell them. And so it's
And apparently-
when you've got this huge open world of like possibilities and things, and you're the one that's blazing those trails, it's you create such a language for, I mean, some of it's expletives, but you create such a language that people kind of then follow, you know, on those little adventures. I get that. Yeah.
Though I don't want to let them off the hook entirely, because I mean, LucasArts, I think, did a much better job of not frustrating the player. And so I don't know if that was just not as much beta testing or what the internal sort of philosophy was at Sierra, but I don't want to let them off the hook entirely. But yes, I understand your point, right?
Sure. I'm sure a lot of the people that were testers in those days were employees or people that knew the employees. And so you might have, I mean, that's when a lot of that, you did everything in house. I mean, that's why the voices of the characters are people that just, they work in the shipping department and they would just get in the booth. We need another voice. And so so those people, you know, the people that wrote the thing. And so it's maybe there's a little bit of that where it's like, I kind of know how they would think maybe a little bit on this. So it doesn't seem so like I mean, yeah, I know she's going to make it where I can't walk back and forth across this bridge more than 3 or 5 times before it collapses. And then I'm dead man walking for the rest of the game. I got one more trip across the bridge to check the doors, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know how much blind beta testing that they did. I know they had QA departments, but you know, sit somebody down in front of it who's never played it before and just watch them play. I don't know if they did that.
QA department. You need to A your Q.
Yeah. Oh, Joe.
I silly. Speaking of game design, let's get a little more technical. What's your favorite game engine era for Sierra titles? SCI or AGI?
I'd have to say SCI, and it's hard to put my finger on why. I think I really love the art, and I think that I just played more games in that era. Honestly, you know, we got a computer. I want to say 88 or 89 maybe, and then we're getting into, you know, 90 and thereon. You have, you know, King's Quest 5, 6, Gabriel Knight. all these games that are just wonderful. And I think that's when I put the most hours into playing those. But that's probably my favorite era is the SCI era. Starting from King's Quest V onwards. And I think King's Quest V was the first one that we had of SCI. That's why I mentioned that. But yeah, definitely that. And then you have the SCI. Is it SCI Zero? Is that what it's called? But the earlier ones that weren't VGA.
Right. Yeah.
Here, I don't have a bunch of like gear on the back like all of you, so I brought my boxes out. So like this gem right here, Love Colonel's Bequest.
Anyway,
I know. Yeah, I'm jealous. So I don't have as many props, but yeah. So yeah, that's probably my favorite era, and also I guess coincidentally, because of the robustness of the tools, those are the games that I dive into most now, especially with SCI Companion, which is a decompiler for SCI games. And so I've read a lot of SCI code and, for just both speedrunning myself and also for, videos and diving in and seeing how things work. And so, yeah, it's not like AGI is bad, but I think I just have more of an affinity for the SCI games.
Oh yeah. Well, it's there's so many. I mean, I get it. Like Leisure Suit Larry 1, stuff like that, where it's just kind of like, or Police Quest 1, and they've got like a unique kind of look, and it's they lift a lot of art assets back and forth just because it was kind of easy to do. But yeah, no, I agree. The later games are just such a facelift, and really brought those games. We will not be talking about the 3D games this evening. For everyone's sanity and
why won't we be talking about those?
Oh, they're just not great. that's the nicest thing I can say. They're not great. But yeah, no, I get it. I like that era too. It's just they're just pretty, especially just not the Amiga versions, of course, but everything else, I mean, are not too bad.
We don't talk about those.
No, it's figure out how to palette swap, guys. Come on. So, what got you interested in speedrunning these games?
So I started speedrunning generally kind of at the end of 2018, and I think I for whatever reason I started watching a lot of Games Done Quick, which for people in the audience who don't know is the speedrunning marathon, the big one, right? Where people speedrun a lot of games. I thought it was cool, and I also started hanging out in Twitch streams of GoldenEye speedrunners of all things, because I love like GoldenEye, and those are interesting speedruns too, and made friends with them. I never did any of that game, but I was thinking towards the end of 2018, well, what could I do? What am I interested in? And I'm like, okay, adventure games, right? And so the first one that I did was actually a speedrun of the game Sanitarium, which had no runners at the time, but I was like, okay, let's just to see what we do here. And I ended up finding a few things there, and that was fun. But then after that, I sort of got into Sierra stuff because those were the games that I had played, right? You speedrun what you love. And so my next one after that was King's Quest 6. Still love that game, still love speedrunning it. And they were just sort of off from there. And there was, already a, kind of built-in community from that. I remember someone who's not as active anymore, but Chuck Grody, I would go to his streams. He was a big King's Quest speedrunner. He would speedrun the collection, which is King's Quest 1 through 7 all in a row. So those were fun to watch. But yeah, I just got hooked into that and just went from there. And I think that these games are also kind of fascinating to speedrun because when you dig deep enough into them, there's so much weird stuff, and there's a lot of jank, and there's a lot of way to break them, which is I think probably why I kind of like looking at and speedrunning these games more than LucasArts games, just because, to be frank, Sierra games are more broken.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember when somebody pointed out that you could kind of walk around the edges of the screen in King's Quest 1 to kind of bypass barriers and things like that, and I was just like, wow, this just opens the whole game up, and that was when people started turning in those like minute and 14-second speedrun times and things, and I was just like, this game, I was like still playing it. I'd never beaten it at that point. I'm like, okay. Well,
Yeah, there's things like that. There's all sorts. There's like holes in the walls because they didn't quite hit every little thing, and there's ways to go out of bounds, and there's way to abuse mechanics, and just all sorts of things. There's one thing that happens over and over in SCI games that's kind of fun, which is called turning isn't walking. It's basically where if normally when you try to like walk somewhere and do something, the appropriate stuff will happen. Like you try walking somewhere and try to do an action, the game will stop you, right? Because you start walking and you try to cast a spell in Quest for Glory, or you try to do an animation. All right, well, you shouldn't keep walking, right? Because that's going to look weird.
Yeah.
But turning isn't walking, and so it doesn't check if you should still be moving or not. So if you catch yourself in the middle of a turn and do something, a lot of times you can start gliding around places and do all sorts of fun stuff. And sometimes just things are left over and are weird in there. There was some recent Quest for Glory Shadows of Darkness, the fourth game. New stuff in that because people found even more keyboard shortcuts that were undocumented and left in and that do weird stuff. So those are always those are fun. But there's tons of stuff like that all over the place, and it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I think like the quickest thing you can do in some of the LucasArts titles is play the versions don't use icons for the inventory items. I think I might be getting that backwards, but it's just sort of like it's easier to click and switch and do those things with because it's more compact instead of the icons maybe where it'll be like I got to scroll on pages of stuff to get to the items I want to use together, whereas the earlier versions you could just click like pulley chicken go, and now you can kind of proceed a little quicker. I have that completely wrong, and if I do, people can leave it in the comments, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I'm obviously not as familiar with the LucasArts games, but it's not like the LucasArts games are impeccable and and flawless. But it's a lot less obvious. And watching those is really really impressive. But there are some things. One that I really love is in Grim Fandango. There's a couple of things. If you remember in that game, there's a ticket printer where you print off fake tickets. And I think it works in the original too, but at least it works in the remaster. So it should be in the original. I don't know. But if you start running and then use the ticket printer and then exit, you'll kind of like go to the edge of the screen. It's like you skipped the animation of like walking to the edge of the screen. And then there's also something that I didn't know about before. It's still in Grim Fandango. Did you know there's an Easter egg if you type BLAM, BLAM, man, you will explode. Back together.
Oh, that's funny.
But you can use that to cancel some animations. Like if you start doing something and then blam yourself, it'll skip the rest of the animation. So there is fun stuff like that in other games too.
Cool.
That's cool. I do love Grim Fandango. That is probably my favorite LucasArts game. And it was broken for so long. If you tried to install and play it under more modern operating systems, you could play the game right up until the point where you got to the woods outside of the first section of the game, still year one, but maybe about halfway through. And there's some RNG out there that's just horribly broken under the if you just try to install the original retail version on newer machines. But yeah.
Didn't you play that a couple years ago for a Halloween as a Halloween party?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I think I just played through for year one because I've got that like so ingrained in my memory that it's just like I know exactly what to do and the order to do it. So it was like a quick stream. Yeah.
Cool. That's a great game. That between Grim Fandango and The Longest Journey are tied for my favorite adventure game of that era. It's kind of hard for me to like compare classic adventure games and modern ones. Just you see the old ones through the nostalgia goggles, and it's like what was really. But if you're just considering Inception to maybe mid 2000s or so, like Grim Fandango, Longest Journey.
Oh sure, they're great games. That's for sure. So on the speedrunning front, though, how does the community kind of collaborate when new strategies or um, sort of like there's a special word for it, and you'll know the word,
Okay.
but these strategies and things like that, when those kind of come out, I know that there's a lot of people that kind of share things because more than people, it's nice to have your name at the top of the leaderboard, but it really seems, especially in the Sierra speedrunning community, that there's like this sense of community of like everybody is trying to work together to like, kind of exploit everything that they can to get the times down even further for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I'd say all of the adventure game, not just Sierra, but the LucasArts, and everybody is like this too. But we have their Discord set up. There's the Speedy Adventures Discord. There's the King's Quest Discord. There's the Quest for Glory speedrunning Discord. But yeah, we're sharing things all the time, and it's I guess I have a few thoughts on that. One is that even if you kind of wanted to be a miser about it and hide things, like you're going to post, if you're going to get a new time and post it, it's going to be out anyway. So what? That's just dumb. Why care? But also, like, no one's getting money for being at the top of the leaderboards for King's Quest. Like, we don't do it because of that. We do it because it's fun, and we do it because we love these games and we love poking at them. And so we have people who will find things. One that comes to mind is a runner named Swim Fan, who will just poke and poke and poke until he finds things. Not necessarily the fastest runner, but finds a ton of cool things. And so, yeah, we all work together. We all share things, even if it doesn't go anywhere, because it's fun just seeing how these games work. And it's absolutely collaborative, and it's a lot of fun seeing new people, come in, new records, people, people getting new world records, and it's kind of a friendly competitive, right? It's the kind of competition of like, I don't know how else to describe it, but like if you have a friendly group of people who, like, you're going golfing or something, nobody has big egos. It's like, yeah, like we're competing, but the point is to get out and play golf, right?
Yeah.
It's not, we don't really care about who's at the top or not, and it's about seeing the game. It's kind of like less us against each other and more us against the game.
Yeah. And that's been my interpretation, like watching your documentaries and watching other people in the community, that it's very much that everybody seems to be very friendly. There's always a few outliers. There's people that are just like, oh, that guy. But it's good to see so many people working together kind of for those common goals.
Yeah, and at least in my experience, and at least in the communities that I'm in, there's never really been any huge drama. I mean, people's toes get stepped on occasionally, but we handle it like adults and then talk it out, and then it's resolved very quickly, because this is not the sort of thing to get into a big fight over.
Sure.
So, talking about the documentary part of the entire process, what really got you interested in making these documentaries about the community?
Sure. So, yeah, starting at the beginning of, that would have been 2020. So before the pandemic started, like just before, I had been watching, other speedrun documentarians of, other games like Summoning Salt as a for instance.
Oh yeah.
And I just realized these are cool, and there are stories about my friends that could be told. No one else is going to do this, so why not me, right? I'm into technology. I'd done a tiny bit of like hobbyist video editing before, and so I just decided to start with the first one because I knew that these stories were cool, and I thought it would be a fun project. And if no one else was going to do it, why not? We'll see what happens. And so, if you watch the very first video about King's Quest, it's, in hindsight, it's pretty bad. It's slowly paced. I was recording in a kitchen, and so there's lots of echo. I didn't quite understand that you shouldn't do a fade for every single cut. But I got it out the door. and learned from it, and moved on, and yeah, so that's what got me started. And honestly, I do more of the video work now than actual speedrunning, which is fine to me because I get to talk about my friends and I get to talk about the cool things that we're doing. But I'm a regular guy with a job and kids, and so when I have a few hours here and there, a lot of times I'd rather edit some videos about speedruns than actually do them today. That's all right. That's all right.
But I saw the first video and it's just fine. And those early efforts again, and we tell people all the time where it's like, just get out and do the thing. There's so many people that are waiting for like the tumblers to all line up and everything to be perfect. And I've got the exact microphone, I got the exact capture solution, whatever. No, just make some stuff, and the right people will find your content and they'll like it. So I've seen the video that you're talking about, and I thought it was just fine because I really like the content. And I thought your delivery and everything was really, really good. So, but you always have the opportunity to go back later. You can make that special edition of whatever that episode was. If you're taking any kind of feedback, I would certainly redo sort of that introduction to Mos Eisley. In the other thing, it's just you're up on a cliff and then all of a sudden we're down in the cantina. Surely there's got to be some way that you could pad that out with some CGI or some terrible shots of like Jawas or something like that. So, I mean, if you're taking feedback.
Fair enough.
Ron.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. You do have to just jump in, right?
Yeah.
You just have to do it, and the sort of criticisms that like I have now of that, I only can tell that now because I've gotten better, right? So but no, it's it's good. So. Yeah, and I'm happy with the way things are now, and you always try to do new stuff here and there, and you keep going. But no, I absolutely agree. As you start with what you had at the time, it was the computer I already had and free editing software, and I think it was like a $60 microphone. So.
Yeah, but it did it, and you got out there, and you got content online, and people found you, and it built an audience, and yeah, that's what it's all about. So in that audience though, how many people do you get that it doesn't seem like a very negative audience, and that's really good for your sanity and everything, but do you have the LucasArts people? I mean, it's not like that there's some sort of competition between these two groups or anything, but back in the day there certainly was, because the LucasArts team with Maniac Mansion, when Maniac Mansion came out, I think that they very much looked at kind of what Sierra was doing in those early days, and they were like, well, we can maybe tweak this and optimize this. And again, that being their first game, they do have a lot of dead man walking scenarios and dead ends in the story, and the ability to pick combination of kids that basically just ramp the difficulty up to impossible. I think that there's one or two combinations of kids that are just like, it makes the game unbeatable unless you hit like some very specific like timed event kind of things inside the game, or otherwise you're just done. But the LucasArts team, by the time they got around to Maniac Mansion, there's kind of famously a joke in there where you walk off a cliff, and it's basically like you get the Sierra box, the death box, that's like, well, if this had been another company's game, you would have had to like reload your save, but we're not mean, and so they just let you kind of get back into things. Is that something that kind of comes up in the community where it's like, if it was a LucasArts game, they would have just dealt with this? Like, why am I having to bump up against? Why am I having to throw this damn boot at the cat? And if I miss this one little interaction, it's like the rest of the game is done.
Not that if there is, I haven't seen it, because I'll tell you, the people who complain about the boot and the cat are the Sierra fans. We know, where what the problems are. We're not trying to hide it, but yeah, I think, I mean, we all kind of mingle together. I've done videos on Monkey 1 and Monkey 2. I love those folks. There is no like animosity between the LucasArts people and this Zero people in the community. We just, you know.
I didn't think it was like a Bloods and Crips kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I sure hope that it was more of a friendly sort of, like it's Cheers and Gary.
Jets and Sharks.
You know, it's, well, I don't know. It just kind of, you know.
Honestly, it doesn't even feel that way because most of us are fans of at least, you know, some games of you know, both companies. You know, at this point, it doesn't. Yeah, it kind of feels like, you know, you remember, you know, back in the '90s where Sega and Nintendo felt like a huge rivalry, and now it's like, who even cares?
Yeah.
That's sort of what it feels like now. It's like they're just games.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and
Well,
kind of,
obviously, though, Nintendo was superior.
we'll talk later.
Moving on. Anyway, continue.
Oh, Joe.
They're okay.
But yeah, I mean, we all have our preferences, but yeah, the things that are bad about Sierra games, Sierra fans know, and we, it's that the company's been gone long enough that we, it's not like we have any attachment to it, to pretending like they weren't broken when they were.
Absolutely. So, how has the community sort of reacted to modern games that make use of that classic Sierra cred? Because we've had a couple of like parody games that have come out in the last few years, and then we've also had some brand new AAA kind of title games that have come out that very much like are love letters to some of the Sierra games. So how has the community sort of reacted to things like StairQuest, which is kind of a little bit of a commentary on Sierra, like the difficulty of some of the game mechanics, or you have games like the Crimson Diamond, which are absolutely like a love letter to, you know, the Colonel's Bequest and other, you know, CLI games.
Yeah, no, I mean, we typically the communities respond very positively to it. There have been speedruns of StairQuest by a number of people. There have been speedruns of the Crimson Diamond by a number of people. I think it takes time to sort of dig into the games. And one thing to kind of keep in mind, I think, is that typically what will happen is that someone will run a game for a little bit and then take a break, right, and move on to something else. That you just sort of cycle through it. It's not, you know, I think sometimes perception is skewed by, you know, people who maybe stream a lot of, for example, Super Mario 64 or something, and they're grinding it for, you know, like, you know, that's basically their career. Is they're doing that every day. It's not like that with us. You know, you have periods where you're on for a bit, and then you take a break, and we want to do something else. And so, you know, there aren't, you know, there isn't as much activity with the Crimson Diamond and StairQuest, but it's not because we don't like those games. It's just it takes a while to figure out how those games tick. You know, the Crimson Diamond, for instance, which by the way is an amazing game, and everybody should go play that.
Oh yeah.
I could talk about that game for hours, but go buy it if you haven't already. But I mean, that just came out, you know, in you know, a month ago, and so, you know, how much can you know really know? But you know, people have already taken that down. Santa Claus, who I think I saw in chat,
Yeah.
has a 545 in the any percent category,
Oh,
which
wow.
means get to it as fast as possible, because there's so much in that that's optional, and there's so many little optimizations that you can do. But we're still sort of, it's on the to-do list to figure out what would a 100% category look like for that game, and also just enjoying the game because it just came out, and figuring out, you know, how it ticks, and, you know, what exactly contributes to certain things and how does it work. I have on my to-do list later to, you know, like play through it a second time, and like really poke at it to figure out, okay, well, this is the trigger for this, because that's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. My first time, I have not completed it yet, but the couple of hours that I've kind of played around with it has mostly been focused on seeing if you can die in the exact same ways that you can in the current quest, and just make sure you lock the bathroom door if you're going to take a shower. Is what I'm. It's one of the big things early on.
True. Yeah. It doesn't. That one doesn't have as many deaths as the Sierra games, but it does have deaths, and it adds so many quality of life features. Like you mentioned the deaths, but it auto saves before you die.
Yeah,
So you can
that's
go
the
back.
auto save thing is really great,
Mhm.
and so is being able to walk up and just be like, "Oh, space D, open door,"
Yes.
and go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one thing that the Crimson Diamond I think does really well is that the parser is a lot more forgiving than Sierra games. There's it accepts a lot more. That you can think of, and there are also those shortcuts. So, for example, in the Colonel's Bequest, you might have to type examine something with something else that I won't spoil if you haven't played it, but you can type X in the Crimson Diamond for examine. You can type S for search, and just all sorts of things. O for open and C for close. So just all sorts of things that it's almost as if somebody played the Colonel's Bequest and then had a few decades to think about all the annoying things.
Yeah. What would I say?
Exactly what happened.
I do like that the interpreter is also very smart enough to say you're not going to use words in this order in this game. If you try to do something enough times, it will just say, we see what you're doing and you don't have to do it that way. There's simpler ways for you to go on about this.
Yeah.
And so that is a great quality of life improvement. And I'm sure that a lot of that was baked in for both longtime fans and also first time players. It's like, we just want you to get to the story, and that's what I really appreciated about the Crimson Diamond, because it was just like, get in there and I want you to play and talk to these characters and investigate and figure out what to do, and don't watch the clock as much here in these early chapters, so that way that you can really feel this world and look at every room and open every drawer and and not worry about sometimes those games. It's like time's ticking. And I'm having a good time exploring this world, but there's this mission that I'm supposed to be accomplishing.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that Julia Menemata, who, if people who don't know, that's who made the game, has said explicitly a number of times that she didn't want you to feel rushed. She didn't want it to feel like you're on this timer. And there's a notebook in the game that's really effective, because it'll indicate to you, if you do this, time will advance and you'll get you'll move on. So if you want to do other stuff, go at your own pace and do this stuff. Unlike the Colonel's Bequest, where you walk into a room and too bad, you happen to hit the trigger.
Yeah, you were here. The killer was like, the RNG for the killer was basically brushing right up against your event timer on this thing. So it's like, because when you're walking, you've had a million years to play Colonel's Bequest, people at home. If you haven't played it, you should definitely play it. It's one of the better lore bow
your ears
games.
for like the next 60 seconds.
Yeah. But it's but it's like when you're kind of in the walls and you're eavesdropping and you're trying to solve the mystery. There's a couple of times where if you are in, if you walk into the chandelier at exactly the moment that is triggered to fall, it's a kill event. And so it's rough.
That one's actually not a random one. It seems like a random one.
Oh,
but, the chandelier, there's a magic pixel. It's a tiny little box. And if you're walking down and hit that, it will always fall.
It will always fall.
Yes.
That's
but you have to go walking down. So if you walk up or diagonal or left or right, you're fine.
I'm gonna make a note for 14-year-old me real fast. Hold on. Don't walk.
This is what, but it's understandable, the confusion, because the random part is whether the chandelier shakes or not. So if you walk into the screen, it'll shake or not shake, and it feels like it's connected. No, they were just mean.
I always assumed it was one of those things where it was just like, if you do it so many times, then it triggers. So it's like the rock overpass in Space Quest, or or the how many times you walk back and forth across the bridge, and
which is not an unreasonable guess, because you're right, that is how it works in some other ones. But this one, no, it's also right in your path. If you come down on the screen and you just hit down, it's directly down. So it's pretty easy to get.
You can avoid that, I guess, pretty easily.
Yeah.
Go, Joe.
It's funny.
What?
Go, Joe.
Oh, sorry. My brain was elsewhere for a half second. Hi, ADHD. Are there any adventure games out on the horizon, sir, that you're excited to get your hands on?
Yes, there are. Let me mention 3 real quick. So one is a game called The Phantom Fellows, which my buddy Paul Corman made, and I actually had the pleasure of beta testing extensively. It's a comedy. It's big blocky pixels, and it's a ghost human duo, and they have a paranormal investigation business. But it's very bantery and very snarky and very fun, and has some cool like lighting effects. So I'm excited about that. That actually comes out the 27th of this month. So the Phantom Fellows, go look at that.
Go get it. Go get it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And
Joe
the
says
other-
go.
There you go. The other 2 big ones are, yep, that's it right there. So there's that. Yeah, go check that out. It's fun. And then the other 2 that I'm thinking of come from kind of the heavyweights of the genre. So Dave Gilbert and with WadgetEye is working on Old Skies. And WadgetEye, has been around for I guess 20 years now. But they're kind of seen as like leaders in the modern adventure game sort of space. So that's kind of like I don't know too much about the plot. I haven't played the demo, but it looks great. It is kind of like time travel-y, and it looks cool. There you go. So that looks really good. I'm excited about that one. And Dave is a cool guy. And then I guess the last one that I'm excited for is a game called Rosewater, and that is Francisco Gonzalez, who, if anybody remembers that kind of Dark Age era, like after Sierra and LucasArts stopped making adventure games, and then there was like almost nothing. There was this period of a lot of adventure game studio games coming out, but Francisco did the Ben Jordan games, if you've ever played any of those. Ben Jordan Paranormal Investigator. But this is that one looks really cool. That's been in development for a while. It's a Western, so it's a Western. It's an adventure game Western, and he's explained that it has a lot of branching pathways and lots of optional things going on. It just looks cool. So those are the 3 I'm excited about.
Jordan Mechner would love the art style in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's very cool. They are all. As soon as I can get logged into Steam, isn't that the worst part of Steam? It's like, hey, go ahead and use your app now to go ahead. Come on. So I'll have to get these added to my it's because there's demos and stuff out for all of these. So I'll have to.
Yeah, I think every one of those has demos.
That's great.
I'm gonna have to stop playing Undead and go over there, huh?
Well, you could do both. There's a new RPG that just came out for the Apple II. That's kind of adventure-y, puzzle solving. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I did a little video about it recently.
Yep. Oops.
Well, just put that anywhere, Javier.
It's just gravity. Let gravity do the thing. Undead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Undead looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's amazing what you can do with an 80 by 48 pixel screen on the Apple II, baby.
Yeah, it's the low res, whatever,
Double
16
low
color
res.
mode, double low res, 16 color mode. Yeah,
Yep.
It's pretty neat.
Interesting. I've not heard of that. Very cool.
Yeah, if you have an Apple II, there's still brand new stuff coming out.
Oh yeah,
way cool. So Matt, have you considered starting or getting a Kickstarter going so you can buy Ken's boat? Or is that...
No, I probably should.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because if you get enough people and you just say, listen, it'll be like a charter boat operation. You help me buy the boat, and then I'll take you out anytime you want. It's
I'm playing games over there. Yeah, adventure games.
Ken's timeshare boat.
Yeah.
Isn't that a crazy story though, right? You're the head of a huge company that changes the course of gaming history, a couple decades, and then things go south, and then you just get on a boat and you travel the world and
Yeah.
forget about everything.
Why not?
For a couple decades, like
Yeah.
it's a crazy story.
Might as well. I cannot imagine. I'm not. This is not saying anything negative. I cannot imagine like all the cool adventures that little boat has gone on.
I'm
You know,
sure.
and now it's like we outgrew the boat. We're getting a different boat. But I saw that popped up and I thought that was really funny. I was like,
Yeah.
because he just put it on Facebook. He was like, hey, if anybody wants a boat, reach out.
Did he say how much he's asking for it, or
I don't remember how much he said,
Okay.
but more money than I have.
Oh, yeah.
As you see, I have all my money tied up in my retirement max, so I can't really make boat investments. I mean, a boat anchor investments, absolutely, but
they are currently asking $3.5 million.
Wow.
so yeah, that's going to be a hell of a Kickstarter, but I think we can do it. We've laid the foundation tonight.
Yes, let's do it.
I guess the
So-
big question, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I was really curious as to why both snakes are both dangerous and poisonous in Sierra games. Like, why is that?
You did a panel with Roberta. I would hope that would at least come up.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't do a panel with Roberta, but I did watch it. I don't think if that did. I don't think if anybody called her out on the poison.
I'm not saying call her out, but I'm just like, what happened as a child?
Oh,
The snakes are like big adversaries in Roberta Williams's world, and they're also all poisonous
it's a good question.
instead of venomous. That's okay.
No, though I do remember. I think it was in Sean Mill's book, The Sierra Adventure. I think that's where I read it, where Richard Aronson, who plays Cedric the Owl, he recounts that story. I think it was him. It was either him or somebody else. Somebody told Roberta, you mean venomous, and she said something like, "Yeah, but people aren't going to know what that means." I'm like, really?
Maybe.
I think you give people.
I don't know. How did you cook the snake? Maybe it is poisonous.
Help! I ate a snake. I have snake poisoning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I
god.
guess it's just you think of something dangerous. Snakes, they bite you. I don't know. There's also like a moose head in almost every Sierra game too. I kind of want to know where that came from.
Mhm. It's Leisure Suit Larry's yard sale. You just had it laying around. Got to fumigate the moose. Put it up for sale.
Gate the moose.
I can't remember what that's from, but that is from something. We had to fumigate the moose.
There's also
Maybe
swear
that's a
that-
Futurama joke.
yeah. There's in the intro credits to Monty Python's Holy Grail. There's like lots of dumb moose references. As well. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's related. Anyway.
Well, we're coming up here on an hour. Matt, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so on YouTube, OneShortEye. That's the main place. I also have a Twitter account that I occasionally post on. So yeah, that's just OneShortEye as well. And I also have a Discord that I don't have a link to right now, but if you click in the description of any of my videos, there's a link to that there. So
Cool. So we can bother you all the time then.
you could. Please do.
Can you be my personal helper in
Yeah.
playing my adventure games?
Sure.
Hey, I'm playing Quest of the Longbow, and I want to figure out how to make Robin Hood as big of a dick as possible. Can you?
I have
give
an
me some
entire
advice?
video on that, an entire 2-hour video on that.
It's great, and that's why I dropped the reference to that. That is just it's how do you make one of history or one of literature's most dashing and outgoing and selfless characters the worst, the literal worst. That's how you speedrun it. You don't do any of the stuff required to be a good guy. Actually, I do remember reading online where people were, when the strat came up, where it was just like, oh, you don't have to actually like go out because I think for a long time people kind of played the big stuff with like Marion and making sure that you were there to collect different items and things like that, and then they just realized you could just hang out in the cave, and just like it doesn't matter how mad the merry men get, it's not like a lot of them die. You can just the right amount.
Yeah, there's actually, so in the speedrun, there's actually two different categories. There's any percent, which is just go do the fastest as possible. Well, there's more than two, but the two I'm thinking of is that. There's also a low percent category where you get as few points as possible, and that sometimes means going out of your way to be a dick, to actually threaten more people than you have to with your bow. And in some cases, I think it was after that video came out, we figured out some more glitches that lets you skip more things. And so now the lowest you can get is something like, I think it's like 235 points out of 7,000.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least you're on the board, right? I would love to see like the lowest, and I'm sure that people have already done the maths on that, where it's just figuring out like the absolute lowest number of points you can get and still complete some of the things. Because I know that there's so many things, especially in like King's Quest 1, where it's just like, go to the stump, pull the treasure out, that's X amount of points, and doesn't really do anything. It doesn't move the story forward. It doesn't actually get you any further along with collecting the items or anything like that. It's just like it's more stuff there to fill up the meter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and a lot of times, so in something like Conquest of the Longbow, there's a huge difference in what you do to get the least amount of points with the maximum amount of points. Sometimes it's just a tiny thing that doesn't even really matter. Like in King's Quest 4, the only difference is you kiss the prince instead of just taking the crown from him. You release the unicorn, and you grab Pandora's box and the hen. Mm-hmm. And then you take care of those two things. But it's like the amount of time it takes is like an extra minute. It makes almost no difference.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. Well, I hope people will follow Matt on the various online places where you could find him. Yeah. Definitely subscribe to Matt's YouTube channel. There are some really, really funny videos, and not everything is a 2-hour documentary. Sometimes it's just like it's a 15-minute, like you're eating a salad. You're at work. You're eating a salad. You want something fun to watch while you're eating a salad, because it's a salad. It's depressing, but you can enjoy that salad a little bit more with a funny story about King's Quest or about something funny about the Space Quest series.
Yeah. Still watch the 2-hour documentaries. Just watch it on 2 times speed.
Listen, you watched a 4-hour documentary about how terrible the Star Wars hotel was at Disney, and I didn't hear you complain once. You can go watch an hour and 10-minute video that Matt made about like some of the very best adventure games in history. You can do it, I promise.
Let me plug one more thing. So I also have started streaming again on Twitch, and that's OneShortEye as well.
Oh, cool.
Recently, what I've been doing on Thursday evenings is streaming my editing process, and that's been a lot of fun. So I hope we keep doing that. It's also a good way of like getting work done on the videos and not having like social media on the side and getting distracted by YouTube videos. Chat can only distract me so much. So that's been fun.
Oh no, you did it wrong. You did it wrong, Action Retro. You were only supposed to watch it once at 4x. It's the only way that Jenny's voice is like at a normal speed.
Yes.
Yeah, but be sure to check out Matt's Twitch channel. It's same great content, but like more often. Well, I don't know. It takes a long time to make a mini doc or make a documentary or something.
It does.
I mean, you've got great production values. Me, I'm normally just like I turn on the stream and I'm just like, all right, everybody, good night. So. But all right, Matt, normally this is the part of the show where we kind of do a little bit of general show chat. We talk about cool new things we've gotten recently. A bunch of us just came back from a convention. You're welcome if you want to hang around. If you've gotten some new things recently, like throw in anywhere. Like this is, we don't stand on any kind of ceremony here.
Perfect. Yeah, well, okay, if I have my big boxes, I'll show.
I got this bill today in the mail. No.
No, so it's a new to me, but old thing, and it's like in the last month or so. Eventually, I want to do a video on this. This is the Dagger of Amon-Ra, and so picked that up. So that was a lot of fun. What I like there are a couple of things in here that I like that came with it. One is that it came with a really pristine hint book, which was cool. I was not expecting that.
Very nice.
So that was cool. It's got the red with the
the lens, so that you can not be a dirty pirate.
This was super cool. So, there's a letter somewhere in here. Basically, a letter that explains that. That's somewhere around here. I'll have to find that later. Where's it in the back? Hold on. This is leading up to something.
Sorry.
This page. Okay. So there's this big in here. There's this big document. I'm like, what is this? Okay. And so on the very last page, what it says is, "Thank you for contacting Sierra. We're always happy to help adventure game players when they get stuck in their quest. We are sending you a walkthrough that the hint department has of Laura Bow. We are also forwarding your letter to tech support in case they think there is a problem." So it is a Sierra created walkthrough. How can I do this? There we go. Of the game. And it's not word for word what's in the hint book. It's like an internal document that they would send people when they got stuck. I've never seen that before.
Is it like the script that because I know as a person who would sometimes put weird charges on my parents' phone bill, not those type of charges, but
Ron, we know what you're
hint line charges. Listen, those ladies knew all the secrets for Sierra games, but a lot of those it's like a script, so it wasn't just like a flat answer where it wouldn't be like you would call them and it's like, oh yeah, you don't do this, do that. It was oh well, now I feel dumb that it was always like, I'm gonna give you a little push in the right direction. Is it written in that manner?
No, this is written in just question and answer format. How do I get around the city? And then it tells you exactly how to get around the city.
Right.
But it's worded completely differently from. It's the same answer, obviously, because it's the same game, but it's worded completely different from the hint book.
Yeah. How do you get around the city? Well, you pull up Google Maps and then make sure that you have the Uber app installed, and then ask locals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. I need to take care of something. I will be right back, and then there's some other things that I want to share too.
Yeah, please do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we will come back to you in just a second, Matt. I'm going to put you on video mute, so that way. Well, I thought I would put you on video mute. Okay, we got it. When Matt comes back, we'll re-add him, just in case he's staging something. I don't want to ruin any surprises.
Sure.
Joe, why don't you go?
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe. Recent gets. Oh, I don't know. A whole bunch of awesome friendships were gained at VCF Midwest last week. That's about
renewed.
Yes. I got to meet all my friendos. Of course, we talked about that in our chat earlier in the week or late last week. But really not a lot of gets recently, other than getting organized. I've been talking about this and hinting about it for weeks, but really I'm trying to just clean up this space so that I can really improve the workflow. Gets that I have that aren't really gets exactly, like, I'm kind of mixing my gets and what you're working on segment together, because I don't really have any stuff to show. I don't have any greeblies to show off, but one of the big things that happened the last week was that our wonderful friend, One Bit Fever Dreams, known as Michel, however you want to pronounce his name, I think he calls himself Michael. He started putting some stuff in the JCM-1 store. He's focusing on MIDI stuff because he's like a MIDI music guy. Hi, Trina.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
We're gonna mute you now. I'm kidding. So we have his first products that are up on the store recently. They're little MIDI switchers. They're really cool. Basically, it allows you to hook up all your MIDI devices, both your like MIDI computery things and your MIDI instrumenty things, and switch between them without having to do the cable dance. So that's super, super handy. And he has another project that he just got working, and I'm going to leave it at that because it's freaking cool looking.
I'm excited about both projects.
That's going to be super duper awesome. So that's really all that's going on in my world. Everything else is utterly boring, back in management, blah, 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 stupid stuff. Shipping orders and like doing tickets and just like I haven't had a lot of time to do fun hobby work in the past few weeks, other than taking 4 days off to go to Chicago and hang out with my friend Nose. So
absolutely. All right, Matt, do you want to show us the other stuff and then?
Sure, yeah. So I just a couple of these are things from the Adventure Game Fanfare, which, if anyone's joining late and didn't hear the earlier explanation, was an adventure game convention that happened in July, and it was super cool. I just want to show off a couple of things that I got. One, this is a postcard that somebody made of King's Quest IV. If I can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I thought that was super cool. Sarah Kelly made this.
Nice.
Enjoy a vacation in sunny Tamir. Bask on the golden beaches, ride unicorns, break into homes and clean whatever you enjoy. There's something for everyone in Tamir, which is fun because I'm making a video on this game right now too. So, and then I can't remember his name, but Canvas Quest does these pins of Sierra games, and so I picked up one of Rosella, which is cool, and then another one of Rosella, but just this one is her getting chased by the goon there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which is cool. And then this one, I don't know how else it's going to show. I might need to take this out. This is Lorabo from Dagger of Amun-Ra.
Oh yeah.
In there. So
Wow.
Canvas Quest is that. So there, yeah, he has a whole bunch of things. And then probably the coolest thing was that someone named Caitlin made some cross stitches for a number of us who were there. But what I got was, if I can show it up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Graham.
Nice.
This is the handmade cross stitch of King Graham. Super cool. Thank you, Caitlin, for that. So yeah, that was just
Really cool.
So,
I love it. Those are some good gets. Javier, did you want to show some stuff off?
I don't have too much, but I got the best.
Oh, dang it. That's
Oh,
what I was going
yeah.
to show.
So all my stuff from BCF is in a box coming out next week. But in the meantime, I was able to put certain things in my luggage because I flew. And this is one of them. My friend Joe, my friend Ron.
My friend John.
I know you. I know you.
That guy, I don't even know.
Joe and I got in the telepod machine from The Fly. You know, we're
Gave me these
We've been
brand
we've been
new,
tubixed.
yes.
brand new
Oh,
machine,
God.
brand new device, brand new concoction
Mhm.
to test and see if it doesn't break my 2C. So I'm going to be testing this tomorrow,
Cool.
and I'm pretty excited. And also, when I get back from BCF, I also got this RAM X128 that I'm also going to do a video about it. I got the good old black machine out, ready to rumble.
Nice.
So just testing little things, and
I think I got some of that at VCF Midwest. There was like a little store, and it was like very fancy. It looked like the Apple store that was like right down the street from the hotel. The bag smells weird. I don't know what's in it. That's fine.
so that's basically what I got, other than a lot of crap coming back from BCF and tons of orders, thank God. So I am. Oh, and Joe was mentioning that he is like the Amazon of the retro world.
Yes.
I'm actually like the Etsy the retro world.
Mhm. Well,
I use robots and machines and things to make it. Javier makes every single thing by himself by hand
Yep.
with artisan craftsmanship. This is why everything on his store is 5 times more expensive than it should be. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I love you, Javier. Your stuff is
Yeah.
awesome.
Nice t-shirts.
Mhm.
Anyway,
I
that's
wore
it.
that. I had one of your t-shirts like that, and I wore it to a client site on Friday.
that's
He
fine.
was amazed.
It was great.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's Trina kind of slipped in here, and I want to say, hey, Trina.
Hey, Trina.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
We'll get to hear in 1 second, Rooney. I do want to say that Joe is very much kind of like the Amazon of the tech world, in that his importance in the water cycle is so important. So important. Sorry, rainforest joke. It's fine. But I did want to also say that, like, the what you've been working on kind of thing. We did kind of run a couple things together, so I'll just do mine real quick so we can move on. But yeah, what you've been working on? Oh, I guess I better put it right side up. I've been working on this little project for a little while. This is a kind of a multi tap or a multi joystick adapter for the Apple II.
Yeah.
Multiport, Lulu Dallas multiport. It allows you to hook up your DIP 16 and D9 joysticks simultaneously. You can hook up to 4 devices. And basically, the switches down here allow you to mix and match which potentiometers are turned on inside those joysticks. So you can mix and match controllers. Do you have an idea for a project where you wanted to have like pedals and then have a steering wheel for something? You can break that stuff out. If you've got ready-made joysticks, you can just hook them up and do whatever you want to do. Sky's the limit. Plus, there's also a cool little screw down terminal block down here that is also married with position number 4 of those D9, where you can make your own joystick. It's all the pins are exposed down here, so basically you can hook up potentiometers, hook up buttons, do whatever you want to do, and have lots of fun. So
Cool.
that's something neat.
I have a question before you move on.
Oh,
Ron.
go ahead.
Are you planning on having like a little base or feet on the bottom of that to protect the little electrically conducting bits on the back?
Yeah, there are some screw terminals. I was going to talk to I don't know. I'll just talk to somebody about making something that like a raft that'll kind of sit on top of to keep that stuff. But until then, I think best advice is just get a sheet of tinfoil and just lay it directly down on top of it and just hope for the best. So
Told us to ground.
yes, it's 5 volts. Thank goodness.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there are some little areas for
No
mounting
sparkles.
things. So yeah. But sky's the limit on kind of what people want to do. And I started looking around for devices like this that existed in the old days. There really wasn't anything that was easy to do. There's a few things that are like the paddle double or something. I can't remember what the name
Paddle adaptal.
Paddle adaptal. Yeah. That it uses jumper wires to kind of do some of these same things. And I thought, oh, we can do it with switches and it'll just be neater and cleaner. In terms of like pickup stuff, I actually found some really great RAM modules at VCF Midwest. These are all 256K Apple branded. These are Apple fabbed RAM modules for the Mac Plus. These were, and I found like a big bag of them, and I gave away quite a few of them.
Ron signed mine.
Oh, so now it's more valuable when you put it inside. When you put it inside your Mac Plus, now it'll be like there's more signatures in there now.
Yes.
Look rare.
You turn on your Mac and it says, "Hi, this is Ron from Ron's computer."
Every time. It doesn't get annoying, I promise. And then this is kind of the fun thing, and I've wanted one of these for a very long time, and I found it at the show. This is a PDS video card for like a LC2 Color Classic, a bunch of those different machines. So that way you could add an auxiliary or a secondary monitor on one of those machines. It's kind of nice because they didn't really know how to what the heck they were going to do. So they made a very expensive little adapter dongle doodle there on the card, which this part is always lost. So you can find the card, but this part is always missing. So just kind of neat to have it all together. So $20. That's really it. Trina, I know you just came from a show. Do you want to give us like a brief rundown of kind of what happened? And also, I wanted to pitch you an idea. I know you've been out of town, but you should talk about it as much as you want to. But I really want to see a hour and a half stream where you and some of your friends that were there on the ground share pictures.
Oh, already. Well, we're not going to be sharing pictures, but we're going to be doing a stream on my channel.
That's good. I'm excited to see
Talk about it. Yeah. So
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
We're gonna figure out when things work. So I just got back. Well, I just actually got out of the shower because I was sweaty after loading everything back in. But I just got back from the World of Retro Computing Expo, or WORK, in Kitchener, Ontario, here in Canada.
I thought we renamed it Twerk because you own
Trina's.
Well, I mean, considering that the two best virtual guests they've ever had, which was Joe and Eric Helgeson. I've been told by Justice that they've received the most positive comments on that one video with you guys streaming. So, yay!
Yay!
Yeah, I took down a bunch of computers, sold everything but 2 items I had. Sold all but one of the computers. And I had a motherboard that didn't sell, but that's okay. So yeah, super happy with that. It was a great turnout, super busy 2 days. I'm glad I can actually still talk today. Because I was like, last night I'm like, oh, it's going to be a rough one tomorrow. But got some coffee into me and off we went this morning. Hung out with a bunch of great, cool people after the show. Last night, had supper with them at a tequila and taco bar. Was thinking of Javier. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Except for Javier, I had a beer.
Just I'm like, for you, I just finished a tequila, so don't worry about it.
All right, good. Because I'm like, I haven't eaten since 8:30, and I'm like, a tequila on an empty stomach, I'm going to be falling asleep in the chair. But, yeah. So yeah, it was a great weekend. Hung out with a lot of great people. Got to hang out with somebody who took me down and back because she has to drive past Toronto anyway. So
nice.
And shared the hotel room with her and had a great time. So picked up a lot of cool free motherboards at the end of the show today.
Oh yeah, those are the best days.
Oh, you got another table.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Except for I didn't pay for it this time. It was free.
Better yet.
And I got a couple of free video cards off the table as well.
Cool.
But yeah, so I'm going to be doing some live streaming of testing that stuff once I think tomorrow is going to be. I talked to my boss, me, and I've given myself the day off. I'm not going to be doing any work or anything. I'm just going to veg out tomorrow.
Trina, can I rely on you at like 10 a.m. Central saying, hey, can somebody meet me in real-time tech support for XYZ issue? Can we count on that tomorrow? Because we haven't had that in several days because you've been out of town.
Yeah, you can. So 10 o'clock Central, so that's 11 Eastern. Totally can do that.
All right, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna put something in my calendar. But yeah, it was a fantastic weekend. Met a lot of great people. As I said, made a lot of great sales. So glad I didn't have to lug everything back, which was after yesterday. A lot of what happens is a lot of people come to the show day one, look around, see what's there, get an idea for prices, and then come back on the Sunday and pull the triggers on what caught their attention. So that was pretty much what happened.
That's good. Well, your table looked really good. I know last year you just went as an attendee, and this was your first year with the table.
Yep.
So it looked really good. It was laid out really well. You had a lot of
banner, gigantic banner.
Yeah,
right.
Like
it was well merchandised.
Seriously, it could have been the Computers with Pride World of Retro Computing.
That's right.
It's huge.
Yeah. Well, I had that printed many years ago when I was doing tables at different events. And I just haven't used it in a while, so I dug it out, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take my banner with me.
Yes.
And I'm like, I had asked, so there's a Discord for this, and I had asked in the Discord, I'm like, are we allowed to put things on the wall? And they're like, yeah, sure, as long as they're taped on and not like,
I was gonna
you
say,
know, stapled
stand
on.
by. Here's a real human skeleton in my staple gun.
You're right. But I was actually kind of worried because we got there and I looked at the wall and I went, oh no, will my banner fit? And it just fit side to side. So, but yeah, I had a great, amazing time. I'm looking forward to next year. I am going to mention that next year, because there was a lot of people that went to VCF Midwest because you could tell they all had the T-shirts from this year's event that were in attendance. And they were like, I would like to buy that, but I just spent so much money going to the event, buying whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm actually going to suggest, could we try for a month after VCF Midwest so that people have time to kind of get some money back in the bank account before coming to our event, which would help the vendors.
Well, here's the thing, though. As an American that would come to your event in Canada, my money is already 30% more valuable there. I don't know if it's just because of the pictures on them or what. I don't understand how money works, but I'll just come up and buy all the tables next time. That just seems
Yeah.
That's
There
totally
you go.
perfect. Great.
just,
That's the way
I'll
to
buy
go.
all the tables.
I want to meet Ron in person, so come on up.
Yeah, I'll be
Let's
up
do this
there.
up.
It's I mean, Prince
Sweet.
Edward
Bring your
Island. Are we
passport.
meeting? I just don't.
Prince Edward Island.
I mean, it's a 5-minute
You're-
drive anywhere, right?
You're
Yeah.
there's an ongoing joke you can drive 5 hours and still be in Toronto. So but yeah, no, I thoroughly had a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas has that problem here, and so does California.
Yeah.
But Texas is any direction. California is like up down.
But it was nice. I went with 3 full bins of computers and computer related equipment. I didn't end up using my test stuff that I took, but well, I did. I used the monitor. And I came back with 2 bins. So
Nice.
ooh,
Nice.
Cool.
yeah, and 3 less iMacs.
Yeah.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
One last quick question for you, Trina. What's your favorite thing at the show this year?
Obviously, talking with Eric and Joe, and
You never get a chance to do that.
I know, right? Well, I do get to talk
Thank
to
you.
Joe, but Eric doesn't join the voice chats that often, so I don't really get a chance of. And I was joking last night. So we went out to a arcade place first that has like microwave pizzas, but we won't start with that problem. That's why we went to the tequila bar afterwards to get real food.
Forget about the other ones. Yeah.
But I was mentioning to Justice, I'm like, you kind of left me in the lurch, and he's like, how do you mean? And I'm like, well, you told me to kind of give a tour of like what everybody was looking at as he went around, and I said I hadn't left my table since like 9:30, like 20 after 9 when we loaded in. So I said I had no idea what people had on their displays. But I was so glad I had Joe, because Joe was like, oh, look, there's this. And I'm like, sweet. So it was great.
Oh, I don't have boundless energy. It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
It's all good.
I was starting to bound out of my energy by that point. But yeah, it was a great time.
Awesome.
So yeah, the talk with you guys was fantastic.
Cool beans.
And also reconnecting with people that I saw last year, saw again this year and things like that. So.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, we are approaching the end of our show for this evening. I would like to take another couple minutes to thank our wonderful guest here, Matt, also known as OneShortEye, who gave us a wonderful bit of insight into the world of.
Yeah.
Super cool. Thank you, Matt, for being on. Do you want to tell everybody again, real quick, where they can find you? Because we're all computer people with ADHD and short memories.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun. And people can find me OneShortEye just about everywhere. So it's OneShortEye on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And I also have a Discord. And if you go into any of my YouTube videos, you can find that. I guess I forgot to mention, I have a second channel called OneShortEye Extras. If you go to my main channel and then scroll all the way down, there's like a link to it. But it's basically random like stuff that doesn't really fit the main channel, and I put it over there. So OneShortEye Extras. But
how am I not subscribed to this?
Because I didn't tell you about it. That's where I shove things where I don't really care how many views they get. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, OneShortEye everywhere.
Nice.
Cool.
OneShortEye on ICQ, OneShortEye on MySpace, OneShortEye on CompuServe. Everywhere.
Some of those I might need to snag before somebody else can.
Oh no.
Beat the squatters.
Well, I hope you can get that Prodigy one lined up pretty quick.
We'll grab the AOL email.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry I missed your talk. I'll have to go back and rewatch the part of the show I haven't caught since.
Trina, it's outstanding. You need to leave the show right now and go just like go to YouTube. And
Okay,
scroll
do you
back.
see where I'm at? I'm in bed. After the show, I'm gonna give some nighttime meds, and I'm in bed.
Trina, we need you to watch it tonight because
Yes.
I'm just saying the reason why is because this is our 4-year consideration episode. So the Emmy people are watching, and if we don't get those numbers early, we can kiss that daytime Emmy goodbye. Even though our show's at night and not on TV.
What I can do is I can put it on, mute it, and then close and just open up a
ASMR
blank
doesn't
tab
work
and
like
let
that.
it go.
No, it doesn't count. It has to be 50% volume with at least 25% of the video showing.
Right.
That's how the gods at YouTube determine if somebody has watched your video or not.
Yep.
All right.
Javier.
Master 8bitstuff.com. My
8-bit stuff, new website.
Yes. 8bit stuff, and you will get good stuff. You'll go again to 8bit tees, but I'll do 8bit stuff eventually. And of course, 8bit tees,
Dude,
the best t-shirt.
His pixel art shirts are freaking fantastic.
Oh,
and on top of that, he picks the best actual shirt. Oh, yes.
Those are good.
Yes.
Get him. I should make some of King's Quest.
Yes.
King's Quest over here. Oh yeah.
King Graham. Yeah. Just him on the front. Yes.
You can make a shirt that has all of the quest items from King's Quest 1.
Yep.
And it'd be like they're all now available in one convenient shirt.
So you don't have to be looking for them anymore. There you go.
But this time when the king dies, it's out of oh gosh. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah. Out of sadness.
Oh yeah.
That's not even the word I was looking for.
Anyway. Visit 8bit tees and 8bit stuff. Thank you very much. And have Master at YouTubers, of course.
Yes. Trina.
I just wanted to say hi to Ronick Explains, who you actually came up over breakfast this morning. So, where can you find me? TrinasTech.com. It has links to all my socials. Go there.
Nice.
That's it.
It's a wonderful.
Do it, or she will find you. She will find you and make you do it.
Oh, good.
Ron.
So.
Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. I too want to thank Matt for stopping by this evening. This took a while to kind of put together. I know you're a busy guy, so I really appreciate you putting up with our shenanigans this evening and letting some of our folks know a little bit more about what you do. Hopefully folks will go out, they'll get subscribed, they'll give you some viewership as well, because I do think you make some really good content that should be doing much bigger numbers. It's doing great numbers, don't get me wrong, but it should be doing twice that. So I hope more and more people. We need to get you to something like a VCF East or a VCF Midwest or something, depending on where your locale is, and do a talk and just talk about this community and show off some of these great games and talk about some of the technology underneath it. Because I go to these shows, I don't see folks talking about like the computer gaming side of this. Occasionally you do see people will come up and do that, but not the specific niche in that. So hopefully we can get you somewhere. But you can learn more about what I'm doing at ronscompvids.com.
Awesome.
And Joe has his analog board for his classic.
Yes. Hi everybody. It's Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. I saw CDI in the background there, and I'm sniffing his brand new analog board.
Oh, God.
It smells like 1980s deliciousness. After I recapped it, before then it was a cap juice nightmare. Yes. Who would have thought a brand new in the box analog board had failed caps? Anyway, so yeah, hi everybody. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. I'm the crazy one in this wonderful little chat menage cinco or whatever. I don't know.
Stop while you're ahead.
Yeah, so you can go and follow me on jcm-1.com, where I've got a store and I've got cool trinkets, like all different types of cool things. I've got blue scuzzies and video cards for your Apple II and RAM expansions for Franklin's, and soon, very, very soon, because John Adar keeps asking me about it. The Diamond Trackstar Plus coming soon. All different types of cool stuff. You can also get t-shirts that are better than Javier's and things like that. So yeah. No, but yeah, if you want to follow me on socials and stuff, you can. I have Linkadoodles up there on my website, so you can get all that stuff too. Yep, doodle. Yes, Veronica. Yes, it has been cloned, and yes, the clone works. It works soon. Yes.
Oh, and to answer Veronica's question earlier, breakfast was amazing. So
Goody.
Yes.
I'm glad your toast worked out.
Yeah, toast. Anyway, so that's pretty much the show for this evening. Again, thank you to Matt for stopping by. Thank you for all our hosts for being gracious and dealing with me being weird. And thank you to everybody who stopped by to watch the show tonight. Again, this has been Retro Repair Roundup. We know that you have your choice of things to watch, and we're glad that you stopped by to watch us. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. It does things that makes YouTube do stuff and whatever. And yeah, that's it. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Is it going to end on time? Is it going to spin?